Welcome to Homemaking with Mima. My name is Wendy, and today's video is going to be regarding home canning and the tools that you're going to need to start your journey on home canning. I want to mind you, I am not a seasoned canner. I've only been canning for 4 years. I do want to put that out there, but I am very passionate about the canning and the canning process and the rewards that you get from it. In the box here is my All-American 921 pressure canner. And then next to it, the black canner, that is my water bath canner that I purchased at Walmart. The All-American pressure canner I purchased directly from the company. And you can too. I'm pretty sure that they have a website. And the All-American canner is a American-made product. And I was very passionate about that when I did get it. You can judge me if you want, but pretty sure if you're in another country, you probably feel just as passionate about your country as I do mine. I also have 2 books that are necessities. I feel, now that's my personal judgment, that you need when you're canning. I have the Complete Guide to Home Canning from the USDA Department of Agriculture, and I also have the 2017 Ball Blue Book for preserving. Now, the Home Canning Complete Guide, I will put a link to it in the description box below, and you can access it through the internet. And I believe it's free, and I think they also allow you to download it for free. Or you can purchase it over the counter, like my husband purchased it from Amazon. I'm sure you can check bookstores and that if you want to, or maybe even thrift stores if someone's gotten rid of theirs. My Ball Blue Book 2017 Guide to Preserving, I purchased that at my local Walmart back in 2017. And I do know that they have a newer version out now, as I went to Walmart yesterday and I did see that it was sitting there. I'm not going to purchase it. I have this one. Maybe in a few years I might want to upgrade it. And mostly it's because there's, like newer recipes and stuff in there. And then alongside, I have examples of what needs to be pressure canned and what is a water bath can. And let me come alongside here. Green beans have to be pressure canned. Salsa and tomato products and multitude of other items can be water bath canned. The best thing for you to do to decide if you have to water bath can it or pressure can it is look it up. But also in these books, like this one here is 2017, it gives you an explanation, of why certain things have to be pressure canned or water bath canned, and also here as well. And recipes in this book will also let you know if it has to be pressure canned or not. This book also tells you if it has to be water bathed or pressure canned and the times in that for it. So again, I'm going to leave a link to the USDA Complete Guide of Home Canning down in the description box below. And I hope this video doesn't get too long for you. But I want to do this for people whom are new out there. The best thing to do right now, I know summer hasn't even started, is to look into if you want to start canning, invest now. Because if it comes to the time where you're ready to, okay, I've brought in my garden, I want to preserve some of my items, it's going to be too late. Because, well, all I'm saying is that the shelves are usually empty. And anyone that's a canner can contest to that. The best thing for you to do is to invest now in the items that you need for your canning projects for this fall. And I'm going to go over a little bit of what I feel you need. Not everybody might feel the same way, but this is what I have started out with. This is a water bath canner, and I bought it 5 years ago, and I just purchased it at Walmart. And it came with the rack and the lid, and this is what I water bath in. When you water bath, your product has to be covered completely. So when you get your product ready and you've got it in here, you're going to have some water in here, not completely full, because you're going to be taking the jars, and we know that mass makes water increase. So once your jars are full and you put it down into the water, then you're going to put more water to go on top. And I believe it has to go an inch above the top of the jars. And that's your water bath canner. It's just 3 simple things: a pan, a rack, and a lid. Now for both canners, they're going to have racks, but this is a water bath rack. And the purpose for the rack is you do not want your product directly onto the heat source, because it's going to be on a high heat source and it's going to compromise probably your jars. So you want to have a rack. They do have other different kinds of racks out there now. They have a silicone rack that you can purchase. I seen that at Walmart yesterday. Let's say this, because this does get, it gets used. It's getting rusty. Eventually it's going to rust itself out. So they do have a silicone rack that you can just set into the bottom here, and that should be able to withstand the heat. Some people have made racks on a short notice out of their old canning lid, not the lids, the rings, and they've connected them together and put them inside of their water bath canner and used that as their rack. I have never done that, but I have seen many people that have done that, just because, let's say this thing broke or something happened, it was missing, and they improvised and they tied together their rings that go around the jars. I don't know what they use to tie around the jars, so I cannot answer that question. This is a 921 All-American canner. There are so many different pressure canners out there. And they've all had success, as far as I know. The Presto, the Nesco, and that's to include the electric Presto pressure canner, and it's a canner, not like your Instapot. And there's an electric water bath canner out there as well. I can't remember who manufactures that, but there's multitude. I invested in this, and the reasoning behind that, and it was my personal choice. It's not a complicated thing to use. At first you think it is, but it's not. I had to watch multiple tubers use theirs to get the courage to use mine. It took me a while before I stepped into all this. I had this stuff before I actually canned. And so with your pressure canner, some are going to have just a jiggler weight. You're all going to have a venting. The venting is on absolutely every single pressure canner that's out there. On the All-American, I have a gauge, I have the vent, and I have my weight. And on the weight, there's different numbers on here. You have to find out in your own area which weight is proper for your area to pressure can. Mine is 10. But once I let my product vent, my weight fits right on top of here. And then once it comes up to pressure, it's going to jiggle. And then I will adjust my temperature, and I will keep the temperature in between where my number is supposed to be. And like I said, I advise you to look all of that up. With the All-American canner, it's heavy. But it's American made. It's, I believe, made in Wisconsin. And it comes with 2 trays. Mine, because I can do 2 layers. I put this down in the bottom, product, and I can get more product on top. But I can only do that, my size canner, with pint jars. And I will show you the difference between the jars here in just a little bit. And mine, once it's washed and dried and clean, I keep my weight and my racks inside my canner so I do not lose them, because I'm telling you that weight can disappear. Yes, you can get another one, but you're going to have to pay for it. With an all-American canner, the difference between them is, you see there is no rubber seal. There's no rubber seal in the lid. There's no rubber seal on the base. It pressure cans metal on metal. And because of that, the All-American, it has to be lubricated so that the steel, the top and the base don't eventually melt together. So I think they advise every 2 to 3 usings is to take a lubricant and put around the edges here and put around the edge here where the two metals meet. And they say you can use petroleum jelly. So I have this petroleum jelly just for my canning, and I keep it stored with my canning stuff. And that's how I use my American canner. I do have videos out there of me using it, and if you want to watch them, go ahead and check into the playlist. That's my advice to you on that. So that's the two differences between a water bath and a pressure canner as far as the actual products. If you want to know the reasoning, why one is water bath and why one is pressure canner, I advise you to turn to those books. That is my best advice I can give you. You don't want me to try to explain it. It's best that you read it on your own. That's just my best advice for you. All right, and I'm going to bring you back with some of the utensils that are important to have with canning. So some of the utensils that you are definitely going to need when you can is you're going to need a jar lifter. This was ordered online. I don't even remember where it was ordered. It came with this and then another funnel. But it's lasted me a while. But you can get them at your local Menards, Fleet Farm, Walmart's. Pretty sure you can get them at Target now. So a jar lifter, and that lifts the jar. A funnel, so when you can put your product into your jar. This tool here is multifunctional. When you have a solid inside your jar, you need to debubble it. So that's this side, it'll debubble it. This side here gives you measurements, like let's say if you're making jelly, jelly says a 1/4 inch headspace, and headspace is where you stop putting your product in the jar. And you want to make sure that you have that much space between your product and the actual lid that's going to go on top of it. Jelly for a 1/4 inch is right here. So you would set it on the jar like that. For most of the other products that I pressure can, your meats, your vegetables, some soups, that sort of thing, calls for a 1 inch headspace. And that's this little notch right here. And it'll go into the jar like that. And that's telling you that's your 1 inch headspace. Not all debubblers come with this. This I got a few years ago. And I don't even know if they're available still. I would look at Walmart. I know they have a little box that's got a funnel, a jar lifter, and it's got a debubbler too. And I want to say it did have this in there, but you don't have to, you don't have to get this one. So there are some people that use chopsticks. Just be careful if you want to use anything metal, because you might crack your glass when you're debubbling. And if you want to understand what debubbling is, you can go to my playlist and watch one of the canning videos. This here is a lid lifter. So the little lids that I put on top, I soak them in boiling water so that the compound on there can soften up some. And I don't want to touch it or compromise anything of it. So I'm going to use this magnet that's on the end here, and I just pick up that lid and I bring it right to my jar and put it on. This is just a normal scoop. The one thing nice about this one, and like I said, I do not remember where I got it, is that you can set this alongside your pans, and it's not going to fall into it. Very nice. And this is optional, but you have different size jars. Some, they're called regular mouth and wide mouth. I can't get my cleaning rig, my sponges into the bottom of those jars. So I just went to the Dollar Tree and got one of these spongy things with the handle. Works great. So those are the utensils that you're going to need for your canning, whether that be pressure canning or water bath canning. All right. Now, if you also want to can, you're going to need jars to can in. And my advice to you is don't use old pickle jars that you bought at the store or mayonnaise glass jars. There is no guarantee that that glass is going to withhold the cooking time, and it's not a good thing to do, especially if you're a new canner. Try to do everything by the book. Give yourself a few years and then you can do you. But the best thing for you to do is get appropriate canning jars. Now, as you can see here, I have a case of ball, and these I have already used. And once I use a product, I wash the jar out. Once it dries, then I store it right back into the case. But I did put a lid on this so that you can see that's how you're going to buy them in the grocery store or at your local Walmart, Fleet Farm, Menards, Target. Whoever sells canning jars, they'll probably sell them by the case, more than likely sell them by the case, that you can can in. And they more than likely will come with a lid and a ring. And all of mine had done that. The only thing that you're going to need to replace in your years of canning is you're just going to have to replace the lid, because you don't want to reuse your lids either. I know there's some people out there that do. I advise you not to do that. Don't compromise the safety of yourself and your family. If your grandma used to do it, well, so be it. But it is all going to be your own choice. But so you're going to invest in getting jars to can in. And like I said, the cases that come, I got this at my local Walmart. They came with a lid and a ring to start me all out with. And so then you're going to also have leftover rings, which you can reuse again on whatever else you decide to can once you use it and you clean it and you want to do more canning. The only thing you're going to have to replace are the lids. And these are the two different sizes. This here is a wide mouth. And wide mouth, the difference between that is, and these are both canning jars. One's cur and one's a ball. Wide mouth is wider. Regular mouth is not. And the lids, when you purchase them, are labeled just that as well. There's two different sizes, regular mouth, wide mouth. And then, of course, you're going to use the proper rings as well. You can get them. These are called pints. These are jelly jars. And those come all regular mouth. And then you've got quart. Now, I know they also sell gallon size or half gallon. Yeah, half gallon ones. I don't have any of them. I don't use them. But I have regular mouth, which is smaller than the wide mouth. And as far as replacing the lids, because once you invest in everything, you're probably going to have jars and rings. You're going to want to purchase more lids. I'm not showing the manufacturer who's on here. I know you can probably see who they were from anyway, but this box here, I purchased at my local Walmart, and it will say right on there, this is a wide mouth, but the same size box comes for the regular mouth. And at your local Walmart, it looks like there is 12 lids in these little boxes. I have a whole bunch of these to use up, but I have turned to purchasing Forjars. I'm not an affiliate with them. I've just ordered off through them personally. And you can get wide mouth and regular mouth. And as you can see, I am out of regular mouth, so I've had to break into the regular mouth. I think that's it. Well, I do have regular mouth. These look like they're both wide mouth. But the box that I ordered, it came with 100, and it was 100 wide mouth and 100 regular mouth. And so those are the jars, lids, and the rings that you can get. And those are the kind of jars that you need for your canning projects. And you can make the decision if you want to put it in a wide mouth or a regular mouth, or what size you want to can, as far as you want to do quarts, pints, or jelly jar size. And I'm just going to give you an idea of how I store my rings. I just bought these cheap Dollar Tree containers, and that's how I store them. I make sure that before I put them in here that they're washed and completely dry. So I will let them set out overnight to make sure that any tiny drops on the inside will get dry. Do these look beat up, tarnished, and used? You bet they do. But you can buy new rings to replace them. But the rings don't touch your food. The rings just have a job, and that's to keep the lid that you put on your product onto your jar, so that during the process of either water bathing or pressure canning, the job for the ring is to keep that lid right where it's at so that it can make its seal. So like I said, the discretion is yours if you want to keep them on your jars or if you want to take them off. I take mine off. And like I said, I just store them in Dollar Tree containers. There's some people that put them on hangers. They put them on however you want to store them. That's totally up to you. You don't have to do it this way. This is how I store mine, because then I set them inside each other, and totally up to you. I don't store my jars on my shelf where I store all of my canning food with the rings on. And the reasoning for that is because after I wash them and all that, and I can get the ring put back on, what if I didn't check that jar good enough and there was a compromise in it? I'm not going to know that when I go through my canning, and I go through once a year and look at them, check them, which I advise everyone to do. If there's a compromise with the seal of the lid, your food is going to be contaminated, and it's no longer going to be good for you. They say not to even dump the food out and try to wash the jar and reuse it. They say the best thing for you to do is throw the whole thing away. Again, that's totally up to you. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that say, well, my grandmother, well, my mom. That's all fine and dandy. If you grew up with it and you feel safe at doing it however you want, then so be it. That's totally up to you. It's your choice. I choose to not store mine with the rings on so that I can check to make sure when I'm down there that I don't have any compromising, and I usually give a good look at all my food. You may see some stuff right here on this one. It's beef chunks. It is just a little bit of a fat, and you're going to get that with meat. So that isn't anything bad. The lid is good. If you push down on it, it's not moving up and down. And I can personally hang on to the actual lid and suspend it by the lid. That's a good seal. The only time that I put my rings back on my jars is if I'm going to transport them somewhere. Or like when we got a new rack, I had to get everything off the shelf and we put up a new rack. I wanted to make sure I didn't compromise my seal, so I put rings on everything I had. Then I put them aside, and then when I went to put them back on the shelf, I took the rings back off. If you're going to give them as a gift, put the ring on so that you're not going to compromise that. And maybe find a nicer one, not one that's beat up. Like here's a really nice one. Totally up to you. So that is, I'm hoping, not a really long video for you, but my quick version of the canning. So that's my version. And there's so many out there, people. So don't be afraid to watch YouTube. Just watch everybody if you want to. It's totally totally up to you. I did. So that is my description of water bath, pressure canning, items that are a necessity. Items that are a necessity You don't have to have these, but I highly advise that you do your research. And these are the two. This book for sure is a book that I advise that you look at and read. And this is just something that I got over the counter. All right, I hope I wasn't too long-winded. I hope someone can learn from this because it certainly helped me out. Do I have more things that I didn't show you that I've just kind of gathered through the years? Absolutely. But that's you. But these are the items that you're going to need to can with, that you're going to need to water bath can with, and that you're going to need to pressure can. No matter what kind of water bath canner you have, and no matter what kind of a pressure canner that you have. I gave you just the quick essentials that you're gonna need for your journey. And again, I gave you all this information before the canning season because I'm telling you right now, best time to get your jars if you're just starting out, and they are really expensive, people. They have doubled in price. But what are you gonna do? Is to get it right now. And stock up now. Don't wait until the season because the shelves are going to be empty. And that's just my advice to you. I hope this was informational, like I had said before. And I want to thank you folks for joining me today. And if you like this kind of content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see any of my other canning videos, I do have it in the playlist. I will try to leave it in a card on the end of this video, and you can just click right onto that. And I want you folks to make it a really great day.